Today, I'll tell you a tale about a brave farmer named David, who fought to keep a well that meant everything to him. Little Emma tilted her head and asked curiously, "Why was the well so important, Grandpa?" Mr. Jacks nodded thoughtfully, his eyes drifting to the sky. Because that well was his last hope. The land was dry, the rain had stopped, and without water, everything was dying. Ben, the youngest, leaned forward eagerly. What happened then? Did someone try to steal the well from him? Mr. Jacks chuckled softly. Yes, a greedy man tried to trick him. But can you guess who helped David find justice? Emma's eyes lit up. Was it the king? Or maybe a wise old man? Mr. Jacks winked. You'll see, but you'll have to listen closely to find out. The children fell silent, wide-eyed and still, and the story began. Under the blazing sun of a distant village, a farmer named David stood silently, staring at his parched fields. Cracks spread like veins through the dry earth. His shirt was soaked in sweat, but not just from heat. It was the sweat of worry. "This land is my life," he whispered. "How can I save it now?" For months, not a single drop of rain had blessed the soil. The crops had withered. His children often went to bed hungry. Hope was fading until one morning. While walking near the edge of his dying field, David's eyes caught something. A half-hidden stone well covered in weeds and thyme. A well? Here, he gasped. He rushed to it and peered inside. It was deep. It smelled of old earth and water. He ran home. "Emily," he shouted to his wife, "I found a well. Near the field." "A well?" she repeated, breathless. "Yes, we can save the crops. We can survive." The next morning, David carried a bucket and rope with a smile on his face. But as he reached the well and lowered the bucket, a voice thundered from behind. "Stop!" David turned. A man in fine clothes, with sharp eyes and a smug smile, stood with arms crossed. "That's my well," the man said. His name was Leonard, a wealthy and cunning landowner. David stepped forward. "But it's on no one's land. It's beside my field." Leonard shrugged. "It has belonged to my family for generations. If you want water, by the well." David hesitated. "How much?" Leonard named a price that made David's knees weak. "That's everything I have, and more." "Then you don't have a choice," Leonard said, turning his back. "Water is never free." That night, David sold his few valuables, borrowed from neighbors, even took his son's school savings. By morning, he placed the money in Leonard's hand. "The well is yours," Leonard said, handing over a written agreement. David, now hopeful again, returned to the well. As the bucket filled with fresh, cold water, Leonard appeared once more. "You can't take that," Leonard said flatly. "What?" "I bought the well." "Yes, the well, not the water. The water is still mine." David's heart sank. "But that's absurd." "Is it?" Leonard smirked. "Take it to the king if you like." And so he did. David journeyed to the capital, dusty and weary, and pleaded before King Alexander. The king listened, then summoned Leonard. "Did you sell him the well?" the king asked. Leonard bowed. "Yes, your majesty, but not the water. That was never in the deal." The court murmured. King Alexander looked puzzled. "This is unusual." He turned to his advisor, a wise and witty man named Bartholomew. Bartholomew stood up, smiled gently, and asked Leonard, "You claim the water is yours?" "Of course," Leonard said smugly. "Very well," Bartholomew nodded. "Then kindly remove your water from David's well immediately." The court fell silent. Leonard blinked. "What?" "You heard me," Bartholomew said, his tone sharp now. "Take your water out. You have no right to leave it in another man's well." Laughter erupted. Even King Alexander chuckled, then raised a hand. "Leonard, you have been outwitted." Leonard's face turned pale. "Justice," Bartholomew said, "is not about clever words. It's about truth and fairness." Leonard bowed his head. "I was wrong," he admitted. The king nodded. "And you will return half the money to David and be fined for your deception." David smiled with tears in his eyes. "Thank you, my king." "Thank you, Bartholomew." Emma looked up and softly said, "Grandpa, if I were David, I think I would have cried if someone tricked me." Mr. Jacks nodded and replied kindly, "It's okay to cry, my dear. But what matters most is what you do after the tears, whether you have the courage to stand up and seek justice. Ben rested his chin on his hands and asked thoughtfully, "So, a truly smart person is someone who never uses their cleverness to hurt others, right?" Mr. Jack smiled and patted Ben's head. Being smart means using your mind to help others, not harm them. Real wisdom is knowing what's right, what's wrong, and standing with the truth. The children sat silently for a moment. Then Emma whispered, "I really love this story, Grandpa." Mr. Jacks stood up, brushing off his coat. "And I hope you remember this. Truth may arrive late, but it always arrives. And kind people may not win right away, but they always win in the end." A distant clock chimed. Mr. Jacks turned and waved. "All right, time to go home, little ones. I'll tell you another story, maybe an even more magical one, next time." The children stood reluctantly, waving back. "Goodbye, Grandpa Jacks. Tell us more tomorrow."